Hey everybody, this is Ryan from Married to Markets. I always wanted to make a video about this. Are we in a recession? Uh, if we are not in a recession, what is a recession? This is a thing that a lot of YouTubers have been questioning. A lot of people have been questioning this too. The Federal Reserve keeps on saying everything is fine, everything's great. But why is it, and why a lot of people are having a lot of pain? Their wallets are getting emptied. They're getting having issues. So I had to sit there and research and look at why. Why are we sitting here looking at the government, and the government keeps on saying everything's great, everything's dandy. We are in the tale of two cities. The book that we have read back in high school, in a way, we have two different economies. We have one, the economy that majority feels, and that's the common middle class person like you and I. We feel this pain right now, and I definitely feel it. I'm assuming you guys feel it too. And if anyone's watching this video, definitely comment below on how you feel, because I don't know if this video will ever go out there, and I don't know if anyone's going to share. I really would appreciate it. But where my research is showing is the government basically put us into this bind on the tail of two economies. The Silent Recession. And no one wants to talk about it. The politicians don't want to admit this on both sides, Republican and Democrat. Both sides don't want to talk about it. But we have gotten where we're at right now. Right now, we have gotten a retail stores. We have been in retail, and I've been in retail for a while. And around us, we have seen 5 different stores close within even a year. 5 different stores close, and these are even two were Fortune 500 companies. If the economy is doing such great, why would be Fortune 500 companies closing? Just saying. The Federal Reserve keeps on saying how we're doing such great and the economy is doing so strong. But they're looking at the profitability of Wall Street. And meanwhile, Main Street is not even, they're not even the same level. Wall Street right now had gotten a lot of boost money. I'm not trying to get political, but really realistically, Wall Street during the Biden administration, the CHIPS Act, the Green Act, those ones, they got tons of money and tons of stimulus money. And this stimulus money went to Fortune 500 companies, big, huge companies. And that's the reason why you see Apple, you see the big, huge tech companies just making tons of profit. And they're doing great. They're doing awesome because they are making profit. The reason why they're making profit is because, well, they got billions of dollars from taxpayers. Sorry to say, but they got billions of dollars from taxpayers. Who's paying it? Well, the middle class and the poor. During that time, keep in mind, they yanked a lot of tax credits. The children credit, it was about $3,600 per child, and they yanked it down to $2,000. Even they're talking about yanking it down to $1,000 because they need to pay this tax, these goodies. So the middle class got really screwed, pretty much. And the poor class got even more screwed. They got even poorer. Small businesses felt this, and they are even closing. But why does the Fed keep on saying everything's great and dandy? Well, because you have two economies. The Fortune 500 companies have still that stimulus money. We hear all about how Wall Street and Main Street got all the stimulus money during the COVID. I hear it from politicians. I hear it from the mainstream media talking about how they all the stimulus money went to common folks. Keep in mind, with that CHIP Act, the CHIP Act and the Green Act, all that money could have gone into individual people, and it would be $3,000 per person, give or take, around there. And that could have helped paying people's bills. Now, the American class has to pay higher in taxes. They have to pay higher into onto their medical bills. They have to pay higher in the rent. They have to pay higher in the grocery bills. They have to pay higher in all this stuff. We sit here and we talk about how, that's it was because of the COVID. Keep in mind, every time the government puts more money into it makes inflation. No matter what the Federal Reserve says, when the government prints more money without actually creating anything, that's inflation. They don't want to talk to you about that, but the government was the one who created the inflation. Why is the consumers the ones have to pay it? Because we are the ones who have to pay it. So it frustrates me. It frustrates me greatly when I hear a lot of people saying we're not in a recession, but we are. We're into a hidden recession. Now, during 2022, we had 2 quarters of negative GDP. 2 quarters. That was, back in the day, that was the definition of a recession. But politics came into the play and said, no, that's not a recession anymore, because of the jobs were so many jobs are out there. That, to me, was a political game. This whole thing is all political now. We're seeing. When they sat there and said that, I'm like, okay, that makes no sense. And a lot of these factories, these goodies, it went to battery places. I worked there. I worked on some of these places. Insane. How much money was wasted. They put tons of money into these battery places. Not a lot of them are making batteries. And a lot of these battery factories making batteries, well, they're making and hiring contractors that were Chinese. Yeah, actually, Chinese contractors, Korean contractors, and not American contractors. They're hiring a lot of OEMs, and that's manufacturing companies that were not Americans. So you can look it up. I've been through all those places, and a lot of them were not here in America. They're Japanese, Koreans, Chinese. So when people are saying, well, that created jobs, it created jobs, some jobs here. I can't deny that. But it created a lot of foreign money as well, bringing money overseas. And so when we sit here and talk about, well, that money was in good use. Honestly, I think it could have gone into better use into the American people, going into each person putting around $3,000, and they could pay their bills. They could pay their debt. But right now, we have the highest debt of credit card debts in historically. And then we're in 2008 debt. So why are we in a good situation? Why is the Federal Reserve saying we're in strong? Because they're looking at Wall Street, and Wall Street has been making profit. Why are they making profit? Because the government gave them tons of government grant money. And that grant money has been still floating around. Say, for instance, NVIDIA. NVIDIA says, hey, we're going to build, we're going to be putting more server racks and things like that. Well, they get hired from Facebook. Well, Facebook gets the money and they get grant money, and then NVIDIA gets grant money, and all of a sudden these big, huge Fortune 500 companies, and then they hire a Fortune 500 company that does the engineering, the manufacturing, and putting the server racks in. They're not going to hire a small company, a mom and pop company to do that stuff. So yeah, they bring jobs in there, but a lot of these OEMs were from overseas, China, Korea, Japan. So the economy looks great on that part when we hear everyone saying, we're doing so well. But the consumer, what we're seeing is actually struggling hard, struggling super hard, that we are seeing them decreasing onto the pays. They're buying power, they're buying ways. The consumer, what we're seeing is decrease since 2022. And that's sad, but the consumers have been decreasing. Well, why? Why were we seeing these decreases? The consumers are not getting higher wages, and then they're paying more into taxes. So again, like the tax credits and things like that were wiped away. But meanwhile, you had the big corporations getting big money. They were keeping jobs, like people would say. Now that money, the consumer is just, they don't have any more money, and the layoff is going up. Unemployment's going up. But why are we not seeing that? That's the next question. That's a good question. Why are we not seeing that? Well, because it's the government. They don't want to recognize that there's problems into the economy. They're seeing cracking and things like that happening. Well, how can they put the unemployment higher? Why would they put it higher? No, they put it lower. The reason why is because now they have this new method of a recession. It has to be, the GDP were 2 quarters. This new method is pretty much if the unemployment's high, if the spending is decreasing, if the consumers are struggling, this committee comes out and says, well, you know what, we'll call it a recession. During 2020, that was when they did that, and they called it a recession, because technically during the COVID time, we didn't have two quarters of negative. It shouldn't even been called a recession, technically, if we were using that. But because we are using this committee, the committee comes back and says, no, we're not in a recession. So the committee right now has one last thing. They're saying that we're not calling a recession because of the workers are having jobs. Now, during 2022, we had tons of people, immigration. We had tons of people walking into the United States. They count those towards people. Citizens or non-citizens. You can call them whatever. You hate me or despise me on this whole video and say what this, but they are counted towards the population. Now the population, if the unemployment's going up higher, well, you have more people coming in there, your ratio is going to start dropping, keeping that even look, that even part. So that makes jobs look great in then your ratio. So say for instance you have 100 people, the 100 citizens, but then you have another 100 immigrants that are coming into America or into that state. Well, if you already had 10 people that were laid off and they bring another 100, your ratio is going to look really good. So that answers the question why the unemployment looks really, really good. It's not. And you can ask yourself, going back to the election last year, if the economy was doing such a well job, why was so many people voting for the guy who's in the White House right now? Because they sat there and are saying they're struggling. Makes you question. Now, there are going to be a lot of people anti-hater on Trump. Just want you to realize why. What's the reason why this silent recession? This recession is a silent recession because we have no actual government wilment. Both sides, what I'm saying. Because no one wants to take that to bring it up. Trump doesn't want to bring it up. Biden doesn't want to bring it up either. So no one's going to be bringing it up. And recession will never happen now. So no one's going to talk about this as a recession until it really pops. If it really pops, that's going to be even more scarier. Now, we had this happen multiple times on two different economies. Now, the economies happened on two different economies. Were one in the 1900s. Two was during 1920s. Then, well, we all know that story. That was the Great Depression. Then we had it into the 2000s. Well, that was the bubble that happened on the housing market. So when is this going to hit? Is it going to hit home? I'm hoping we're going to see the market start bringing back up. I'm hoping that we're going to see a lot of the people getting jobs back. Where we are at right now in Michigan, there's a lot of people that are penny pinching, and I see it all the time. And then I hear the consumers saying I am buying something that I need. It's not that I want. So consumers are only buying what they need, not as what they want anymore. They're buying in cash. Now, the reason why they're buying in cash, it's one, they capped off on their credit card, or two, they're trying to keep a budget. And when consumers do this, they're buying more into cash. They are realizing that they have been over leveraged on things. Now, the next thing I have to say is when consumers are going to, it's the Fed is the one who's really pushing the consumers as well. So we have to say the government pretty much put a lot of the consumers, their taxes, their write-offs, everything like that, they have eliminated that. And then the Federal Reserve I'm talking about, they have increased the rates. Well, this is the best possibility of this economy snapping. This economy is going to just snap and it's going to break. Now, the Federal Reserve needs to lower down the rates and start trying to get things back to order. They are not. They're in this denial because they're looking at the money that the government gave to these Fortune 500 companies. And they're saying, everything's fine. Everything is good. And meanwhile, the Fortune 500 companies are saying they're making profit because that money is going through their pockets. But the common folks, they ain't seeing a penny. So, if you like this, if you like, share it, show it to other people. I'm hoping I didn't ramble on and try to get into the best structure onto explaining why we are in a silent recession and why the economy is really into a recession and why the government is in this denial state. And tell me how you guys are feeling. Do you think that we're in a recession? Do you think we're not in a recession? I don't care. Put it down in the comments and explain to me why. Share it to other people. And if you have people that have lost their jobs, talking about how they're losing their house and losing their income, share that. Share this video, because this is something that we should not be saying, hey, we're all alone, because I hear a lot of people saying the same thing. It feels like we're in a recession, but no one wants to admit. Why? Because when the recession ends, are they going to come out and say, well, you guys were in the recession? That's what I'm thinking. I'm hoping. But I think, honestly, the data, what I'm seeing, we're going to get much, much worse. And it scares me, because the federal needs to start lowering down rates. We need to see the government starting to help out the consumer, not overtax the consumer. What they've been doing, they've been taxing the consumers to the living daylights. And, well, the consumer has no more money. And the only ones who have money are the Fortune 500 companies, the big ones who got the grant money. Sorry to say, if you don't like it or not, but that is the honest truth. They got a hell of a lot of money, and they waste it on worthless things that still, today, I think majority of them haven't made any batteries, haven't done anything what the government told them to do with it. And a lot of them went towards overseas contractors. Sucks. But that's the honest truth. What I've seen and what I have seen. Thanks for watching this video. Share it, like it, subscribe. I appreciate it.